Oh, that scared me. Okay. Now it's recording. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is, I believe, season 2, episode 5, if I'm not mistaken. Episode 5 was supposed to be like so many people ago, but then we had like a bunch of reschedules. So now I have Christine for number 5, which is a lucky number. So,
Yes.
Christine.
Hello.
So tell me, like tell the viewers and everything how we know each other.
How we know each other. I believe I was 11 or 12 years old. Yeah. So we go
Yeah.
way back. And we lived in the same neighborhood, but we didn't go to school together. No, you were homeschooled.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who lived in your house. Was it that I got to know first? Brianna.
Brianna? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then yeah, Brianna, I went to school with her in elementary school, and then I came over, and then I guess the whole neighborhood, all the neighborhood kids got together, and yeah, we've hung out since
Yeah, it was
making music videos.
that are still on Christine's channel if you guys want to watch
Yes.
the cringiness. I will not tell you guys what specific videos I'm in. Well, actually,
Yeah,
I like. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, you can dig into the internet and I'm sure you'll find a lot of stupid things that we've done. I mean, a lot of fun, but looking back, it is very cringeworthy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like the Avril Lavigne song came on
Oh my God.
the one that was like it's a damn cold night.
Yeah.
That kid like it started playing the other day and I started getting like some PTSD from when we used olive oil as an alcohol bottle.
Yeah, no, and I think it's olive oil and kombucha bottles. Yeah.
And I can't. That's pretty funny. See, when you got to get
Yeah.
creative. You don't have like especially in a household where like my mom didn't keep alcohol, and
Hmm.
so like there was no like fake alcohol props we could have used. It was just like, oh, let's use this balsamic vinegar bottle and this olive oil.
Yeah. It's a glass bottle. It's close. It's pretty good, you know. No one can tell. Make it black and white, you know.
That is so fucking hilarious. I love it.
And even like what's that other video? Little Jimmy's wedding.
Oh
That one,
yes,
this when I found this video a couple months back. All of
yes.
those, oh my God, I don't even remember most of this. And as I was watching it, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually there. I'm
Right? Yeah,
I'm
you're
the
the.
priest. I
In case you guys are wondering what we're talking about and who's Little Jimmy, Little Jimmy is actually my brother, but he doesn't like to
yes.
go for Little Jimmy anymore because he's like, turning
Oh,
20.
right.
So now he's Jay. He's like, just
Oh,
call me
Jay.
Jay.
Okay.
So shout
I
out to
know, but we
Jay.
yes.
It's never going to be just Jay though. Like,
Jay,
it's
no.
always gonna be Little Jimmy forever.
Yeah. Yes.
He's gonna
Yes.
be like 40 with kids and we'll be Little Jimmy
We little
still.
Jimmy, yes.
I can't. So
Yeah.
now on this subject, Christine has actually many talents. Even though she doesn't like to admit that she has lots of talents, and even though she's like tried to be all
Yeah.
humble about it, like Christine also sings, and she does sing really good, and she plays the guitar, and she also candle makes. She's like, she does in like embroidery. She does like amazing art. Like she's just really talented, like all around talented human being. So let's
Aw.
talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, the singing and the guitar playing and even a little bit of keyboard. Yeah, I did the
Hmm.
keyboard.
Exactly.
Uh, yeah, it was something I did a lot growing up. It was even my dad, he was a drummer. I don't know if you knew that. You probably knew that.
I'm
But he
not
used
sure
to be in
actually if I knew that.
yeah, when I was a baby and before I was born,
Hmm.
he was a drummer. He was in a band. And I guess I kind of got it a little bit from him, the music side.
Hmm.
So I was really, you know, me, I was like, I'm gonna be a singer when I'm older, or I'm gonna, you know, as a kid, you have these
Nah.
wild dreams, and Yeah, I don't know. I'm still very into it,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, like I guess getting older and then going to school, getting a job, and you know, it kind of gets pushed aside.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it's something that I enjoy a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, definitely after I don't sing as I used to. I mean, with all like the smoking and puberty, and yeah, so my voice isn't the same as it used to be, obviously, but it yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I guess yeah, I'm still into the music. And then the what came next after that? Oh God, I did so many things too. But the embroidery, yeah, I started doing embroidery during COVID, I think. Yeah, just when COVID was happening, I said, okay, I have so much time. And then I'm looking on TikTok and Instagram, and there's like all these reels of like, creative stuff, like people making crafts or whatever, and embroidery kept coming up. I was like, okay, it's something that's like tangible, like I can try to do this and stuff. And then I started with something small, something like personal. I'm like, oh wow, like this is very easy. Like, and then the more you do it, it just like it comes naturally, and then you learn different stitches and so on. And then I
Mm-hmm.
was like, you know what? I can sell this shit. I'm like, what am I doing making all this stuff and collecting it in a box and not doing anything with it? And I'm like, I'm just gonna make shit and sell it and post it and make an Instagram account. And then it kind of went on from there. So now I kind of just do that occasionally on the side because obviously embroidery takes so much time,
Mm-hmm.
especially by hand. Things can take, yeah, hours or days depending on what you're making. Yeah.
Definitely.
And then and then after that, I'm like, oh my God, embroidery is taking up so much of my time. And keep in mind, I'm working too, so I have my job. And I was like, fuck, I need something that's like I can get stuff completed faster and like make more. So I'm like looking up different stuff and I'm like candles. I think that's pretty easy. Like no, first I was watching it was wax melt videos. I don't know if you know what wax melts are.
I don't think so.
No? Okay, so they're like kind of like candles, but they're like these little wax molds that you put into like this little like it's a warmer. Like it warms up
Mm.
I don't know,
Oh,
melts
okay.
the wax and you put it there and then you get the aroma without burning a candle. Like this is basically what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen people do this on TikTok and they're like pouring these adorable molds of like animals and fruits and like all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, all I have to do is pour wax into something and make it and sell it. I'm like, yeah. And I love candles. But then, yeah. So I started that and then but it took a lot of learning too. I never realized how much math went into making candles.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
I was like, I just thought it was fragrance, color, whatever, melt it, pour it. No, no, it's so much more than that. It is, yeah, like there has to be a certain percentage. You have to know how much wax the jar can hold and the right wick to melt your wax and what kind of wax you're using and all this. It was a lot of playing around with it and I had a lot of fun making these cute candles with little hearts and coffee beans and little blueberries and things like that. Even Easter, I did bunnies and eggs and yeah, it's a lot of fun. But then again, I was working full time and then I just like I made so many candles. I made an Etsy and I also, I was vending
Mm-hmm.
at objects and it's like I don't know, I wasn't selling as much as I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because I was still starting out. So I just like, yeah, now I had like a bunch of candles and then I just kind of slowed down because it's like, why make more when I have so much?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I have a bunch of candles. I'll probably continue. I want to refresh and continue that maybe within the next month for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, I think that that's all I do for now.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
yeah, that's still a lot of things to do. But
yeah,
with
now I'm just trying to balance it and all.
mhm.
Yeah.
How's like with the process with like Etsy? Because I know like for example, like And I'm not trying to shame Etsy at all or anything, but
Yeah. Oh
the
no, Etsy
pay,
has its flaws.
yeah, the pay, they say that it's not that fair. Like I made an Etsy page, but I've never kind of like fully invested time into actually selling anything. So how's that
Yeah.
process like for anybody that's interested in trying to start an Etsy page? Do you recommend it, or do you recommend trying to look into different avenues for that stuff?
Hmm. Well, personally, I found that Etsy was easy for me to use.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's good for people who don't necessarily want to invest so much on a website or maybe
Mm-hmm.
just have their page and then do an Etsy. Um, but yeah, Etsy does has have its flaws. Like it's easy to make listings and all that stuff and the shipping, like the customer pays for the shipping and you just have to deal with whatever. But they do have their fees, they have fees for you to post the listing. They have fees for the transactions. They have like I don't know, there's all these hidden fees that you kind of just have to pay attention to. And you also have to pay attention to the details you put into your shipping. And it's like if you don't have let's say someone orders a candle, okay, and that candle comes in two sizes. It comes in a small and a large. And then I'll have on the shipping the small size weight, let's
Mm-hmm.
say. And then they order the large one. So they're paying for that weight. And if I were to change that weight, it comes out of my pocket.
Ah.
So it's like it's like double the cost just because of the weight, you know what I mean? So then that comes out of my pocket. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh shit, like I have to like charge the people for the larger weight cost rather than,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot of things that you learn and find out from Etsy, especially over time. They did update a lot of things that I wasn't really keeping track and aware of. But yeah, it's definitely if you have an Etsy, it's good. If you have a large following, of course, and people who are really interested in buying your products, Etsy's good.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if of course, when you're starting like a small business, it's hard to like get your stuff out there.
Exactly.
So if you have a small following, it's really hard. Yeah, it's hard to sell online. Honestly, I find it's easier to sell in person rather than online.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
it's a lot easier in person, I tell you that. Like, yeah, objects helped a lot. The thing was, it's so far and I don't drive, and then I have like boxes of candles that I have to chug across the city, right? And I mean, there are places too that overcharge for tables. Like
That's the
sometimes it's
thing
like
too. Yeah.
$700 for a table sometimes, and it's like, damn, I have to make at least like double that to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, it depends. Some people are just comfortable with online, and if you got the following, that's awesome. But yeah, for me, I'm just like I have the Etsy up if a lot better doing the boot. Okay.
Yeah.
I do a lot better selling with the booths, but of course, like if you don't have a car and then lugging things back and forth, especially the objects, which I
Mm-hmm.
wish I could go more often. Yeah. But yeah, so it's totally up to the person on how they want to sell their stuff and do their small business. Yeah, if you're big online, Etsy all the way. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're starting out, I definitely recommend booths. Try to look for booths that are not too crazy expensive. Like there are places that it's like $700. It's ridiculous. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you find has been the most helpful, like in social media, in regards to like promoting your product and stuff? Like, what do you find Instagram, or do you find like, do you get more engagement on like stories, or, um, is it just like through friends, DMs, or stuff like that? Like, besides promoting in person, like, what do you find has been the most helpful?
Yeah. Well, besides of course sharing with friends and family,
Mm-hmm.
um I'm more on Instagram. I'd say Instagram Reels are really helpful, I say.
Mhm.
Yeah, for engagement and stuff. Stories, surprisingly, not too much. Like I get like if I post a what do you call it, a poll
Oh
or
yeah.
like yeah, like if you do something like that on your stories, I feel like there's more engagement.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've just been using mostly Instagram as sharing small businesses. Facebook too, I do that, but mostly I feel like Instagram, even TikTok. I think TikTok is a really
You
good
know what I
platform too.
think would be a great idea? Great
Mm.
idea. And yeah, just like bouncing off of these things. Facebook Market, like, and also Facebook like the groups. Like
Yeah,
if
I've
you
tried that too.
find neighborhood groups. Have you
Neighborhood
found
groups.
neighborhood groups? Yeah.
That I didn't know. I looked more into like groups that are more candle making or
Mhm.
I did Facebook Marketplace too. I got nothing on Facebook Marketplace,
Yeah.
honestly. Um,
Yeah, I
but
find
yeah, I
groups are are helpful. Like I've like even with photography and stuff like that I've done in the past and stuff. Like most of my
yeah,
clients have come from Facebook groups, which is interesting.
nice. Yeah, or maybe it's because the groups that I join, it's like there's so many members, like
Yeah.
thousands, so
Mhm.
it doesn't get the attention, right? So that's probably it too.
Yeah, it could be. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I
it's
never thought of
interesting.
that.
Yeah. Well,
Neighborhood
see, you
groups.
guys, neighborhood groups because you never know. Like sometimes it's like the area. Like I don't know, in Toronto, like we have like different types of areas, just like any place. But there's like like Seton Village group, and then there's like the High Park group, and
Hmm.
so on, and all of that stuff. And then like those pages, I find that usually oftentimes, and I'm not like judging or anything, but it's oftentimes a lot of like older white ladies too that want to buy things and
Yeah.
support
Yeah,
local
of course.
businesses. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's where
Yeah.
I found that it's been the most helpful for sure.
Yeah. I even found like what's it like small Canadian businesses or handmade groups or I tried those too, but it's like people look, but they don't do anything. It's just like people are kind of sharing ideas and
Mm-hmm.
checking out each other's products. Oh, that's cute. Oh, where'd you get that vase from? Or where'd you get that those jars from or
Yeah.
whatever, like it's so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. So in regards to like your creative process, like before the pandemic and like during and post, I guess that we're kind of going into, like, do you find
Hmm.
that there was a difference at all, or do you find that you like it was just kind of the same?
Actually, no, it was very different. Before COVID, I was just work, 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 work. I really didn't have much time to think about these things. And then when I get home from work or when I'm off work, I just wanted to do whatever, right? And then COVID hit, and then, yeah, I was off work for at least 2 or 3 months. Yeah, 2 or 3 months. And then, of course, I start to look at all these things online and it's like, I don't know, I just like to do things with my hands. I was more creative, I had more ideas, especially with the embroidery, like looking up different designs and creating my own designs and I don't know, just playing around and experimenting. And then with the candles too, right? And then it's like, oh, I want to do this collection inspired by spring, or I want to do this collection inspired by weed, or I want to do this, like I have so much more time for like all these creative ideas. But then after COVID, I mean, I'm still into all these things, but then again, like I'm just back at it at work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know, I kind of like COVID time. Honestly, even like I wasn't working, I was still enjoying myself and doing the things that I never thought I would get into or had
Mm-hmm.
the time to, Yeah, so definitely yeah, I was kind of pretty happy during COVID.
You know, I find that a lot of people too, like for me, like it didn't really change because I'm like, this is my life. Like my life is
Yeah.
always creating content and always doing this. I'm like, I'm already doing
Oh, of
this, but
course.
you know, but like everybody has like started saying, I got more creative. I started working out more. I started to get into my fitness journey. I started to do this. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, but that's great though. Like I think that's what people kind of needed in a sense.
yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Except
just
for the working out part, I got a little lazier in
I
that
got a
in
little
that
lazy.
sense. Yeah, but with other things, yeah, no, I did have more
Yeah.
time, and yeah,
You
I
know,
was really enjoying.
it's always like, like a
Yeah, no, but it's
scale
definitely, I feel like COVID was the break everyone needed
for
to kind
sure.
of just figure like their shit out, and especially the government that gave us money for free. So
I
that kind of
know.
helped a
Like this,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though like everyone spent all that money and nobody really invested.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah. Yeah.
but then again,
And
it's
now we're all like,
Toronto. Like it's so expensive.
it is.
Like
It
it's
is.
like even though it's like people give you like well the government gives you like $2,000 or 1,000 or 800 or whatever like
Yeah.
all that shit's gonna go to rent and your food and Ubers
Yeah.
if you're gonna take Ubers anywhere to go do those
Oh
things.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So it
It's
was just
fucking
like
it's yeah, it's crazy expensive, man. Oh my
yeah
God. Do you know I just like what was it? Just for orange juice. It was like $8 for orange juice.
for
And
orange
it's like
juice. Oh my
like the
god.
cheapest brand you can find is like a 2-liter orange juice, is like $8. I don't know. It's just even the rent is ridiculous. It's like what an average one bedroom apartment, a decent one, is maybe 2000 or 1800.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, anything
Really.
below that, you're getting like a little studio or
Yeah.
you have a roommate or something because like
Yeah.
it's
You got 5 roommates and you have to go 3 blocks down the street to do your laundry in the
yeah.
wintertime.
I remember doing my laundry like in the winter. Like, well, see, like living in Christie, like it was like from like 2014 or so, like all the way to like 2022 or so like that, something like that,
Oh
around
no.
there. That's a
Yeah.
long time to be doing your laundry outside all the time, like if there's no laundry in the house, I'd have to always
Oh
cross the
no.
street. But then I remember like I would always dread to do it. So I would like let it pile up for like 2 weeks until I had like no
Yeah.
clothes and then get like
Yeah.
two big bags and like didn't want to make 2 trips to like to bring the detergent to come back to go. So I literally just
Yeah.
carry the detergent and then like be like
Oh.
stepping over like the snow. And like people would be watching me like, what the fuck is like this small girl doing? Not even woman, because they literally would probably be like, like this child. What is this child doing?
Yeah.
With
The Canadian struggle.
yeah. At least though, with the Canadian kindness, a lot of the people at the laundromat was like, "Do you want me to help you bring that back to your house? Like, do you want me to help
Oh,
you
I'm
walk it?"
surprised.
Right?
But then again, thankfully, I never had to go somewhere outside of my home or building to do
Mm-hmm.
laundry. So thank God I haven't had to experience that.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm surprised people would be kind at the laundromat and help
Yeah.
you out.
I mean, it's an interesting city. Sometimes like, you got the crazies.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you got stuck up people, but sometimes, you just get the good old Canadian kindness.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, speaking of the craziness, there's been a lot more. I don't know if you've seen the news about the
Oh,
TTC.
trust me, I've seen a lot. That I was just like I got out good when I did.
Yeah, like even the other day I was in the subway and then like as the train's going out, like leaving, like there's these kids kicking it and they're like screaming and laughing and then they pass me and they're like, "Stay blessed." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was
I don't know.
all
It's
TTC is just like one of those things that I'm so glad that I'm done with. Like that's the one thing that me and Andrew, if anyone wondering again who's Andrew, who's just listening, is my boyfriend. So me and Andrew, when we started dating and stuff, would always take the TTC, and for some reason, every time that I was with Andrew, some like crackhead or something would sit right next to us. And you know what I would do? I'd let Andrew deal with it, so I would pretend to be falling asleep like on his shoulder. So I would literally just be like,
Yeah.
and I just like wait for him to be doing shit, like for him. I didn't want to deal
Yeah.
with that shit. I was like, I'm not dealing with this right now. Like, all he has to do is give
Yeah.
his death stare with his like alien face tattoo, and
Yeah.
everyone's just like, okay, I'm leaving. Like, even like the crackheads, even the druggies were like, okay, I'm out of here. Like this guy's gonna fuck
Yeah.
me up.
I
But yeah, no,
know.
there's been
But
some crazy shit. Like, fuck.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
no.
honestly, some of the time, like, well, most of the time, all you can do is just like turn away. Like if you like, I feel like if you look and then they see you looking, it's gonna like they're going to bother you.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're going to yeah, even the other day a guy was screaming and singing on the bus, saying these something about the queen. I don't know. It's like it is a
Ah!
whole lot of craziness. We're not gonna dig too much into that. Yeah.
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 After like I left, I felt like yeah, it got worse, and it was interesting because I was just like, oh my god, I'm so glad I'm done with that. Like right now, my
Mhm.
goal is just to get my license out here in BC
Yeah.
and drive and never deal with public transport ever again.
Yes. I would love to see Lila Lou drive on a 4x4.
I told Jay
Yeah.
that he's like, what car would you get, kind of thing, and I was just like, honestly, first, I don't know much about cars, but
Yeah.
second, I was just like, I would probably get like either I would get like a small, like smart cars, or like little tiny Kias, or like a Beetle or
Yeah.
a
But you're up
Volkswagen,
north. You should have
right?
like you need a truck.
No, but then I said, or I would be like one of those bitches that are like super small, driving this big ass Jeep, like but 4x4.
Yeah. Yes.
Driving these big ass cars, and then you like step out of the car, and you're just like 4'10".
Yeah.
That's how it's gonna be. That's I think,
Yeah.
honestly, we'll see, because like, yeah, I mean, like Andrew is getting he's getting a truck, and he's getting like a work truck, and then he's getting his car, kind of thing. But I feel like, yeah, in BC it's not that bad, but the thing is that we're on the mountains. So like,
Hmm.
those mountains that don't have like the edge,
Oh
like
my
when you're
God.
going up, that's how it
Yeah.
is driving there a lot of the times too. Like a lot of it has nothing. So I get scared of that shit. Like I'm already scared of driving and shit, and then now I'm gonna be like scared. I'm like, oh my god, that's terrifying. Going up like
Yeah.
a mountain or something, and there's no edge. There's
Oh
no.
my God. Yeah, no, I would have an anxiety attack. Yeah.
Imagine
Even
going
me driving.
going down, going down a hill, and you're like, ah.
Yeah. Even now, like I have my G1, but I'm like driving, I'm still terrified. I'm terrified of driving.
Yeah.
Like yeah, yeah, I think I'm gonna start out in a Honda Civic or something.
In
Yeah, that's
Toronto,
the
that's it.
ideal.
That's great. In Toronto, Hondas, it's not bad. It's not bad, except
Yeah,
in the winter. Like, you need
I know.
the winter tires there.
Oh yeah.
Did you see
Yeah.
that video? There's a video of like this car like slipping. Like it just like it was slipping on the side. It was like going down a hill, and it's like literally moving by itself like on the ice, and it
I think I've
crashes.
seen this. Was it like it was in Montreal, no?
I have no idea, but it was like going down. I think it was Toronto, because it was. I think it was on the six buzz thing on
Oh shit.
But it was like the car was like going sideways, and then suddenly like it just like crashes into the person's house, like straight into the house.
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that
see
was
that?
the other day. Oh my God, I know. If that ever happened to me, I just like just let it. It's
Jesus,
happening.
take the wheel.
Yeah, literally at that point, I'd be like, well, it's
That's
out of my control.
horrible. Imagine like how much that person had to spend.
Yeah.
Bro, like,
Well,
you better have
hopefully
fucking
they have
insurance.
insurance. Yeah, hopefully it should. Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, yeah. That's why it's also important to have like renter's insurance and shit, you know? Like
That's apparently that's mandatory here now.
it is.
That's what my mom told me. She's a super, by the way. But
Oh.
yeah, like it's a thing now. She's like, yeah, you have to pay insurance when you move. I was like, great, something else I have to add to a list of things I gotta pay for. Things.
I mean, that's what we're doing here in BC now. Like we're gonna be moving into a place, and we're like, oh, we have to have tenants insurance, and then we're like, okay,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But I just
Another fee.
expected. That's life. That's an life
Yeah.
as an adult. You know. Speaking of life as an adult, um, I just wanted to ask, like, you know, guys, like, so you're like on, I guess, like millennial, then you're
I
like,
think
right? That's
I
what
was
it would
born
be.
97.
Yeah, I think that's like the cutoff of millennial,
Yeah.
something like
I'm
that,
I'm the
right?
last
You're
I'm
the
the last
last,
few
you know.
yeah.
I'm like the beginning of fucking Gen Z, you know, like right
Oh.
there,
Oh.
like right in the beginning,
You made it on the other side.
right? Yeah, 99,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
or the TikTokers,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But on that subject, do you notice like a difference with, like, for example, like your generation and mentality, like for example with your parents' generation, like previous generations, like what is one thing that you have noticed, like for example in regards to, like, parents, you being a millennial and maybe you seeing the Gen Zers kind of like,
hmm
what is
Well,
that?
with my parents, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of their generation or because the way they were brought up.
Yeah.
Because like, my mom, she's a Portuguese woman, I don't know if
Mm.
you know Portuguese immigrants, they're very proud and they're very traditional usually. My mom not actually maybe at a certain age. My mom's in her early 50s. Sorry, mom, I gave away your age. But yeah, she's in her early 50s, so I don't know. For her age, she does act a little younger. Like her
Mm-hmm.
mentality, I guess. Like she's still the type like she likes to go out and have fun and she throws out those dirty jokes and you know,
And you're like,
like
mom.
yeah, like yeah, she is this way. My dad, on the other hand, I think he was more of the serious. I mean, he was like lenient with me, but serious when it came to work, family, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm very different from my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom, she grew up on a farm in Portugal and she only had elementary school education. So, and then my dad, uh, he came to Canada early on. I think he was still a kid, so he went to elementary school, high school. Um,
Is he Portuguese as
and
well?
yeah, of course, it's
Oh yeah,
Portuguese, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're from different cities, but they came to Canada at different times and they got married here.
Did
Yeah.
they meet here?
They met here, yeah.
Oh wow, see,
Yeah, so
that's
my
like, huh?
my dad came to Canada when he was around maybe 7 or 8 years old, and my mom came to Canada when she was in her 20s,
Oh wow.
early 20,
Mm.
21. Yeah. So when she came to Canada, she's like, woohoo! And I mean, I've seen, yeah, she's probably had her fair share of fun, which is probably why she was strict with me most of the time,
Mm, mm.
and thinking I would do bad things or I'd steal or yeah, no, I was complete opposite, as
Yeah.
probably Lila Lou knows.
Yeah, Christine is like the most chill person I know. But the funny thing is, like she's not like, you're not a I guess, like, even sexually, I'd say, like, you're not really like those people that are like, oh, like, okay, like, let's not joke about that. Let's not talk about this. Like, okay, that makes me uncomfortable. Like, she just laughs at the jokes
Yeah,
and she's just like, oh
that's my
my
coping
god.
mechanism. It's okay.
Oh my god. that's
Yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah,
It's so, like, you could still joke about it, could still have fun about it. But yeah,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
it's funny. It's your
Yeah, I
personality,
mean,
isn't it?
growing up too, like, I mean, as a kid, what kid wants to talk about this awkwardly with their friends, you know?
Yeah.
But growing up, it's like you just learn to like be comfortable with it because it's like it's human. It's like, there's nothing to be, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some wild stories people can share. But it's like it's nothing crazy. It's
Mhm.
yeah, something comfortable and it's cool.
Yeah. So we're almost getting into the sex segment, which is great because we're just like starting to the surface. But
Yeah,
right, it's good.
we're
So
we're on the tip of
we're
the
on
iceberg.
the
Yeah,
But I wanted to ask like some random questions and things.
yeah,
One of them is because I always ask this every podcast, and I'm sure that some people are gonna get annoyed by it eventually. But I kind of want to push boundaries because you know me. But
yeah.
it's do you relate to your zodiac sign?
Zodiac. Well, you know me, I don't dig too much in the zodiac, but I do know as a Taurus, I'm very stubborn.
Which
Like
is a
that's
Taurus
ve
trait.
very, very stubborn. Like Lila Lou could be telling me things or advice and like really good advice, don't get me wrong. And I'd be like, yeah, I gotta do that.
I
And
got
it's
it.
like,
Any?
and it like it doesn't go in.
There's like
It's like you
there's
could tell me a million times. Even my coworkers, they tell me so many life lessons, and they're like, Christine, you need to do this. And yeah, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm
in my mind.
not in my mind. Yes. Yeah, no, I'm very stubborn. I don't know what's another Taurus trait you think
Well, okay,
that's like
there's
I'm
the top two I could think of too, besides stubbornness, is they're creative, which you know you are,
yeah,
and
obviously I do many things.
uh also what was it? What was that? Oh yeah, they love food.
Oh, too much. Way too much. I mean, yeah, my relationship with food has been wild. Also, because you probably know my weight has been fluctuating like
Mm-hmm.
crazy over the past years. It's like I'm big, I'm small, I'm big, I'm small. But I don't know with food, like there were times where I don't know, like I didn't eat as much or like I would limit certain food consumption and then now I'm at an age where I'm just cutting out sugars. Well, I'm trying to cut out sugars. I don't know, it's like the diets always change throughout my like I always had different lifestyles going to high school and then going to college my lifestyle changed and then working my lifestyle changed. So all these diets and food changes and yeah. But I am obsessed with food, don't get me wrong.
How old are you turning now? Your birthday is
I'm
gonna come.
turning 26 in
Oh
May.
my god. Oh my god.
Oh
26.
my God, it's right.
That's I'm like,
I feel
holy
40 though, don't get me
bro, I
wrong.
know. My mom says that in your 20s, she says you feel the oldest. Like she said she felt like she was a fucking 50 in her 20s. She's just like 20
Yeah,
sucks. But then she says that like when you get your 30s, you're like, "Oh shit, okay. I can handle this. I'm good. You know, I'm good." And
yeah,
then
that's
slowly
the thing.
40s, it gets better.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm turning 26 now, and then Jason, for those of you who don't know, Jason's my boyfriend. He's gonna turn 30 in December. So it's like, I mean, I still got some time to figure my shit out, but he's got to figure his shit out. You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
yeah.
So
But see, yeah.
yeah, we're on different how you
You're
call
like
it?
just got past the quarter life crisis and he's like
Yeah,
slow, yeah, and he's slowly getting into the oh shit, I'm 30, gotta get my shit
and
together, now
together,
it's done, you
yeah,
know. Yeah, yeah, it's like
yeah,
get a job, like get some stable income, like you know, think about the
yeah,
future type thing, which I find is interesting because a lot of men too, I find that they have that obviously, you know, they're slower than women, so let's
yeah,
not
of
lie, it's just
course.
how it is. But through their 20s, they're kind of like still like, oh, okay, I will do that. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. And then
Very
slowly, as
laid
soon as they're
back.
like 29, they're like, and then they're like 30, and then they're like, oh my God, I need to change my life, you know? And I find like
Yeah,
so many of my guy friends are like that. Like when they're 30, they're like, oh, I want a kid. Or at 30, oh, I want to like a good job. Or 30, I want to invest in a house. I'm 30, I
yeah,
want to like get like a car and a girl. Whatever it is, they're
yeah, yeah.
like trying to get their shit together in 30. Like if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
like you get a little miserable too. And
Yeah,
it's not that like everybody has to have every single thing figured out by the time they're 30, because there's all
Mhm.
oftentimes like not everybody does know, like,
Oh,
but
definitely.
still there is still that part that you're like, okay, you fooled around enough in your teens and
Yes.
in your 20s, you know
Yeah.
if you're counting your teenage years, you know that's a way past 10 years, like a 10 year more than 10 years of having fun, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
then, you got to get your shit together at some point. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
26 though. Oh my god.
I
Oh
know.
my
Shit.
god.
I'm not ready. I don't like adulting, guys.
Well, see, like
Yeah.
even me thinking about I'm like 25 next year, I'm like, no, like I'm not done.
Yeah. Oh, but you got I think you
I'm
got your
like,
shit together. You're okay. You're on the right path. You're on the right path.
on the right path on that. I
Yeah.
hope. I
Yes.
always say, like, I'm like, everyone has like so much hope and faith in me, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but okay, thank you.
Right? That's so funny.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Also, in regards to, so we were talking about kind of like generation and things and whatever, and
Hmm.
so how does I guess mental health look like to you? Like it's self love, mental health, and all of that stuff. Like, has it been something in your life that you have learned quite a bit from, or have ever struggled with? And if so, do you have like any tips or things that you've recently learned or that you're experiencing
Mm.
currently?
I don't know. I feel like mental health was always a thing since maybe like high school. I kind of had to deal with it. I feel like everyone deals with it, especially when they're in their teen years and stuff, like, and they're starting, well, this is the time of their life where they
Mm-hmm.
have to figure out what they want to do. And well, so they say, but I don't really
Nah.
follow those,
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of like mental health issues only started happening to me, yeah, in high school. And then I don't know, you kind of learn to cope with it over time. And honestly, the best outlet for me was keeping myself busy, like doing whatever, even creatively. Oh yeah, the photography. I forgot to mention the
Exactly. Yeah.
photography. Yeah, I did that when I was doing the photography. I did a lot of like work related to like mental health subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did one shoot, it was like learning how to accept your inner beauty, and another one was dealing with growing pains, and then like there are so many, like I just used those creative outlets to deal with my mental health. um and yeah, of course, also talking to people, like keeping in contact with people that you like whenever you want to vent, you know what I'm saying? Especially Lila Lou knows very well we like to vent. It's like, yes. But yeah, just having like a good support system and having an outlet, I think that's just the most important. And yeah, I mean, yeah, high school and college were the most difficult times for me, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, just having an outlet, doing that stuff, and having someone to talk to. Even my boyfriend, even sometimes if he doesn't want to hear about it,
Ah.
just like, having to vent, like just someone to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, yeah, that's how I dealt with mine. I did see a therapist once, but it was like, it's not my cup of tea.
Ah.
Or maybe it wasn't the right person.
Yeah.
And
Could
maybe
be.
because it was free. So,
All of the above.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was some community centers, they offer like, free therapy for
Mm-hmm.
youth or whatever, which is okay for some people if it's your thing, but then for me it wasn't really a thing. Like, these people, they just follow a guideline and they go through a list with you, right? And it's like uh I don't know, it just wasn't for me, but
Yeah.
probably is for other people though, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great tips, and I do find, like, what they say about, the devils and absent minds.
Yes.
I even forget, in Brazil they have a saying as well. I forget what the saying is, to be honest, but It's
Mm.
something about that.
Yeah.
um Also, so before we get into the sex segment, the sex talks, is there something recently that changed in your life?
Recently that's changed. Um, other than actually, I guess I didn't want to bring in my boyfriend so much into the topic, but I guess I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to. So, for those of you who don't know, he left in December. We were together. We're together. We were. Oh no, we still are.
Yeah.
We're together now for 9 years. So I was with him since I was 16 years old. And yeah, so he left. He went to the Philippines in December. And he's going to be coming back in a week and a half, which is the end of March, which is a while. And ever since I was with this guy, we've never taken a break from each other. Like I think the longest time we have ever been physically separated was like a week, and that's I went to vacation on to Dominican Republic with my mom. That was about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this long break was like it was so hard, mostly for me. I don't know if about maybe for him too, mostly for me. But I feel like it gave us more of an opportunity to reflect on the things that we want for ourselves and what we want for each other. And like, of course, for him, because he's reaching 30, like, I guess he's kind of realizing as well, like, okay, I think we're at a time in our lives where we have to start thinking about the future and like settling down. Because like 9 years, like yeah, we were together and I was working but we didn't really accomplish something big, if you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean. Like when it comes to getting a place or a car or whatever it is, like getting married, which I don't know, but getting like things like this, like it's more in our minds now than it was the past nine
Mm-hmm.
years. So I feel like that's the only big change I have. We'll see when he gets here. I hope he doesn't kill me for bringing this up. But yeah,
I'm sure he's fine,
yeah,
Sagittarius.
yeah, yeah. No,
He doesn't give a
he'll
fuck.
forget about it. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Oh yeah,
In
he's a
through one ear,
Sagittarius.
in through one ear, out the other.
Yeah, yeah. But funny enough, because Sagittarius and Taurus, I know, are very, very complete opposite.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people say it doesn't work. 90% of the time, it's not going to work out. But we're very different from each other, but it worked out.
Mm.
How? I don't know. Maybe I have the
It,
patience
it
of
it happens
something, but
though. With like Taurus and Sagittarius, they actually um so Sagittarius, they say that does everything that Taurus is thinking about doing but just doesn't do.
mm,
So
yeah,
like and
actually, that's accurate.
so they have like that kind of like they're similar in a sense even though they're opposites. It's like the kind of like the drive and stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
one of them is the symbol is like a fucking a man that's half horse and half man, which is fucked.
Yeah,
That's a perfect depiction for them, anyways, because you're like
yeah.
with the the bow
The
and arrow
arrow.
too. With
Yeah.
that to add on to the craziness, that and then there's like just the bull, the crazy bull, like with
Yeah.
Taurus and stuff. But you
Hmm.
gotta even though like Taurus are like, oh, the earth sign, we're creative and we're calm and grounded and all this stuff. Like they're
Hmm.
crazy too.
Hmm.
They're crazy too.
I mean, yeah, low
Low
key, low
key,
key.
low
Yeah.
key, or high key if you know them.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because even Emily, which she's been on this podcast at the big kind of like the beginning season one, she's also Taurus and her boyfriend is Sagittarius. So this is like
Oh,
kind of same
shut
thing.
up.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So it's interesting too because like yeah, it's the same kind of like like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're getting into sex talks. And I'm actually again still trying to figure out like what I'm going to do for like the intro of this. Like I want to make like a funky intro, like a nice intro for it. he'll be good.
Do
So
the what's it called? That website. You know that sound that trends on TikTok? It's like the drums. Doom, doom, doom. That it's like, but it's like that from that porn website.
the
What's it?
Pornhub website.
I think so. It's like the
They had
intro, the sound.
I'm dead.
That's when you know Lila's about to talk about some shit. The intro comes in. Dun,
Yeah,
dun,
exactly.
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, see, that's why I want to make my own. I like unless Pornhub wants to sponsor me, then maybe
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I got this stuff for the sponsor, so
Oh, nice. Visually playing with it. Okay.
Ding! People that are like not watching like the video are probably like, what the fuck is
All
going on right
right.
now? In case you guys
I
are wondering
forgot.
what I was doing, I have a painting of a vulva in the back, and there's a shiny clitoris, and I was just touching, like showing the guys specifically where the clitoris
Yeah.
is. It's right there.
Since they struggle to find it.
These guys are gonna be watching this and gonna be like, "Wow, this is
Yeah.
rude."
Maybe I said too much already.
All right, so get it into it
Yeah.
now. How we talked a little bit about this because like with your mom and stuff like that, but like
Mhm.
how was sex like portrayed like in your family? Like, is it something that you talked about or you didn't talk about, or did you feel comfortable about it or not really? And like,
Oh, growing up, that's like the talk I avoided. I didn't want to talk to my parents about these things, even periods. Periods was never a conversation until it actually happened.
mm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, with my dad, absolutely not. No, none of
Yeah.
this. But with my mom, yeah, no, I never had any kind of conversation with her about sex. Um, when I got my first period and I came crying to her and I'm like, what is happening to me? And then she's like, and then she taught me the basics and she's like, there's pads there and you're fine.
You're
And she
fine.
didn't really go too much into detail. And then she gave me like, what's it those like they give gifts for when you get your period and it's like you become a woman and then it's like a gift. I don't know. My mom just gave me a gift.
I honestly think that has to be like something with like South American,
May-
European cultures.
Maybe it's a European thing, but she got me like some pendant like after I got my period. And she's like, because you're a woman now and I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And then as I got older and obviously I was started dating and I was with Jason, she didn't really bring it up. I think once she just passed over a box of condoms and here, there you go, take it home, okay? Like, okay, thank you so much. Even though I didn't ask, but thank you. And yeah, oh, I won't get into too much detail about that other stuff that goes with that. Uh, but yeah, no, I don't know. It was just something I never really discussed with my mom. But I see as I get older, she's a little bit more open. Like she'll tell me whenever, like let's say she has a conflict in her relationship, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, and I don't even do like we don't sleep together or we don't or I don't know, like something like she'll bring up sex in that sense, but she doesn't really get into detail or conversations about sex unless
Mm.
it's like again, like I said, she jokes around
Yeah.
stupidly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It was never really a thing with my parents and growing up. It's just kind of something I learned on my own from, like I guess sex ed at school
Mm-hmm.
and the internet, which is probably not the best place, but there are some really good sources, especially like female owned or controlled sources, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, especially nowadays, there's a lot of good stuff online for sex ed and consent culture and like all that stuff and yeah. So I guess the internet was there to save me.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of the people that I've had on that are like either millennials or like Gen Z, spoke about like the internet helping them a lot with
Yeah.
regards to this, and I'm really curious into asking people who are older and that didn't have the internet, or the internet was just the thing
Hmm.
later on in life, to what their experiences were, because oftentimes it's like again, that's why I feel like it's not been talked about, and that's why I kind of wanted to
Mm-hmm.
start this conversation where it's like
Mm-hmm.
I interview so many different people that have so many different experiences, because some people are like, oh, I just don't talk about it at all, and I've learned it on the internet. Or some people I've like, oh, I talked about it very
Yeah.
little, or I got the talk for once, you know? Like, did you ever have the talk or no? Was that a
Not with my mom. No, it was just even when I got my first boyfriend, she never brought it up.
yeah,
Not
it
really.
was just like one of
She
those
just passed me the
she'll figure it out. Here's the
yeah, and
condoms.
that occasional yeah. And then I think that was yeah, I she never gave me another box ever again.
I guess I think she just didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable, and she's just like, you know what, like this is it. Not just take this and figure it
Take
out.
it. Yeah,
You got the
enjoy.
internet now, you know. You've got more than I ever
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. But I don't know. I feel like my mom in her own ways, she had some interesting, how could I say? Not kinks, but like how would I say? Like I don't know, she just had her own uh ideals and yeah, just kinks, I'll say.
Yeah,
Yeah, but she doesn't share that
yeah.
with me. Yeah.
So is it something that you find that later on, with having all of these different sources like online and with friends and stuff, and in this generation, like is it something that you still feel uncomfortable talking about with people, or do you find that now it's been a little bit more open because people of our generation and these few current generations have been
Hmm.
speaking about more?
But it is a lot easier to talk about it now than it was years ago. But then again, I was a kid years ago, so I mean,
Exactly.
I've only been an adult for so long.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
but
yeah.
definitely easier now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you find like that there was like a big struggle for you, or a difference or something in regards to going from like girl to woman?
Oh yeah, puberty, of course.
Yeah.
Puberty sucks.
No.
Yeah, no, even just growing up, I don't know. I felt like during like when puberty, like growing up, I felt like that was the time that I became so self-conscious. Like, well, I started to
Mm.
feel so self-conscious, especially about like the way I look or my body. Like, of course, when you're a kid, like these things never come to mind, and then when it actually happens, it's like you're so self-conscious. Oh my God, like I'm growing boobs, or oh my God, it's like hair, and it's like oh my, like things like this. Uh, but I don't know. I think growing up with like and going through puberty did add to the mental health, I guess.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Like I feel for some people. Um, and then kind of when going into high school, I guess like how would I say? Like going through puberty was much of a more normal thing, so more people were talking about it. So then after growing up, it was not as bad, like being a woman and growing up, and like we were all expecting changes and things, especially going to an all-girls school. So we're all talking about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing taboo or whatever, but definitely elementary school, going through puberty and growing up, I feel like obviously everyone hates it. Like
Yeah.
that's the worst time to go through. But like being like growing up and being a woman, it's like there's I have no problems now. It's just like it's the way I look now, it's the way the girls look now. It's yeah. Yeah, actually
Yeah.
no one tells you this, but your boobs grow as you get older.
They do. They do.
They
They
do. They
do.
do not.
Bruh.
They do not stay cute and perky forever. I will tell you that much.
Yeah. Unless you have no
Maybe.
boobs like me, and then they grow into
Oh,
normal size
well,
boobs.
that yes.
That's like
Then
that's
that's
basically.
good. For me, they were like normal sized, and then I guess because the fluctuating weight in the period, and now it's just like they're down here. They're they can be lifted, but they're still down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm cool with it. Like as I get older and like I'm just learning to accept it and just make it sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
just
exactly.
yeah, just like, this is what I have. I'll make it sexy. Don't worry.
Yep.
Like, yeah, just make it work.
Yeah. There's this lady, I think her name is Celeste. Um
Mm,
she's I forget where she's from exactly. Um, but she does like I'm pretty sure you've seen some pictures of her on social media where she like
maybe.
imitates models that are look perfect. And then she does like all like the off like kind of like the
The
opposite, like showing like the
the
reality.
reality.
Yeah, yeah. She's
I
great.
see this.
But like yeah, I would love to have her on a podcast at some point. Like, if I could
Yes.
ever get her on the podcast. But
I
yeah,
think it's possible. It's
right, right,
possible.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because yeah, it kind of reminds me of that too. Like it's like expectations versus reality in regards to how our bodies change. Like the thing is, people think
Yeah.
that we get 18 and it just stops. Like that's the thing,
Yeah.
and it
Oh no.
doesn't. It doesn't. Like
Of
that's
course.
even myself. I've been seeing. I'm like, oh my god. Like I'm 23 right now, and I'm just like I'm already noticing like so many changes. Even like
Oh yeah.
it's interesting, like not just like you know from the neck down, but like a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, you still look the same that you looked like when you were a teenager. And I'm like, I like
Mhm.
looking at myself every day, I can see that I don't, with like my jawline now is more sharper, like my
Mhm.
cheeks are not as like cute and chubby as they used to be.
Mhm.
Like I have like more defined features. Like I'm like now I could have
Yeah.
like a slowly starting to get a wrinkle on my forehead because of how much I keep doing these like facial
Yeah.
expressions. I'm like starting to see all these types of stuff kind of like going in that I'm like, no, like now I have more of like woman features than I did.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to see that change because like even when you become a woman, you're still gonna
Mhm.
have those developing features. And that's what a lot of younger girls don't realize is like it doesn't stop there.
Oh, of course. Even me, when I was, yeah, 18, 19, I thought that's what I'm gonna look like forever.
Right?
Like, or
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna,
That's
not
that's how it's
forever,
gonna
but like, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And then, yeah, even Jason, he looks at an old picture of us when I was like 16, 17. He's like, oh, you don't look like that anymore. I'm like, no shit, I don't look like that anymore. I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
You know? Like, yeah, no, you definitely you change a lot. Yeah.
Hmm.
Body wise, yeah. 10 years makes a difference.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yes.
yeah. And it's funny because like a lot of people though, it's just like it's not to say that our bodies don't sag and all this stuff, but I find that
Mm-hmm.
there's different normalizations for things that are normal and that things that aren't normal. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, I do find that in regards to some stuff, like for example, like our body, we just because we get older doesn't mean that we have to like give up on our whole body skincare routine and stuff like that and all that, and
Mm-hmm.
then just let it happen. Like they're like, oh, I could eat whatever I want, I could do whatever I want, and it's just how it is. I'm gonna gain weight and I'm gonna get big and I'm gonna be like this, and that's it.
Yeah, no.
Like unless you want to live that life and you want to have that's great. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you have that, the normal Western approach kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's also another thing for like people that are listening and stuff and that are struggling with like, oh my god, am I gonna be like the old lady that has back problems and that can't walk, and then my husband is gonna be having to wipe my diapers? Like no, you
No.
don't have to
It's
get to
all
that point. That's
yeah, it's all lifestyle,
exactly.
honestly. Yeah, it's all the lifestyle choices that you make and, even with me, like my lifestyle, like I said, is was always changing throughout the years, which
Yeah,
explained the fluctuation in weight and so on. And
exactly.
yeah, that's
And
it
it's
is what it is.
with that lifestyle and stuff like that. It's interesting because this is like and I posted this about social media, and I'm sure you're gonna agree with this. Some people might not, but I'm like, what does that sound? But
Oh, no, I
basically,
didn't hear anything.
I heard like some weird staticky sound.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, um, what I was trying to say is I posted a thing on social media that a lot of people, they get illnesses, they get diseases or skin problems or they gain weight or whatever, and they just say like, oh, it's not my fault, like I just gotta remind myself it's not my fault, and that's just how life is and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, like I do believe that it is your fault. Like, even with me, with my arthritis, even with my flare ups, like, I know that when I have a flare up, that it's something that my stubborn ass did not do right.
Mm,
Just like how we were talking about how people give us advice on
yeah,
things, like we let it happen until it does happen. We're like, oh shit, now like it's
yeah,
happening now. And it's like, in order, you could either like be like, oh, it's happening now, and be like, okay, let me change it, or you could be like, it's happening now, and be like, oh, I'm still gonna be doing the same thing over and over and again until it
yeah,
becomes a problem, and then it becomes
yeah.
worse, kind of thing.
Which
So
was which happened to me. It was like I was sick for that month. Probably I was eating crap, and then like I had to make that whole diet change or whatever just to feel,
hmm
good. And it's like, yeah, now as you get older too, it's like you have to really be consistent in the things that you eat.
oh
Because like,
yes, yeah.
yeah, and you have to be really cautious. It's like it's not like we're 15 years old and we could just put anything in our mouth and then feel good.
Yeah.
Either way,
Just eat some
it's like our
KFC, and then you're like, later on, you're just like
yeah,
shitting, and you're like, yeah, I'm fine again. Like, I have a
yeah.
six pack.
It's like yeah, it's like as you get older, I feel like you have to be more cautious of what you eat and how you exercise or what you do. Any like how your lifestyle is in general. It's like, yeah, it affects you as you get older for sure.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how the body changes. But it's interesting because like I also find like, yeah, with the I find a big difference. Like, you already start to feel it in your like 20s and stuff, and I find that nowadays, like, even with the foods and stuff, and as like we were kind of
Mm-hmm.
talking about off the podcast, we were talking about how like there's so many foods that are like, you know, genetically modified and that are
Mm-hmm.
created in labs, and they're not even real foods and stuff, that a lot of people
Yeah.
that are even in their early 20s are like, I have back problems, I am bloated, I have this, and then you're like, what, in our parents day and age, it wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like in their
Yeah.
20s, like they were fucking playing, they were playing fucking volleyball outside.
Yeah.
you know
Also, another thing you notice is like foods from like other c countries, like let's say, well, not as like developed as Canada, obviously, but more like places like the Philippines or Dominican Republic or like the fruit and vegetables there, they're like I think as natural as it'll get, and you can
yeah,
taste and see the difference. Like
100%.
yes, like here you can tell everything is there's something that's not it's not the same. Even
hmm
eggs now. I'm so turned off by eggs here. It's like they're gross. I don't
That's
know.
the
I don't know if you've
thing.
noticed this.
No, I so doing the carnivore diet and things like that, I actually had cut out eggs during the second week
Hmm.
because I was noticing that. So there's this thing that happens called the carnivore shits. And for like the first 2 weeks, you're literally like shitting water. You're like
Oh
diarrhea,
shit.
like, but it's not
Yeah.
like that. It's not like that. It hurts or feels uncomfortable. It literally just comes out, like shit
Hmm.
comes out, literally.
No.
But then I started to notice, I'm like, okay, like certain foods I was eating was helping me, like, contain my shit. And then
Hmm.
slowly, whenever I would eat eggs or stuff like that, I would get inflamed or stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, like, what's going on? And I do love eggs, but then I started
Hmm.
to realize, I'm like, you can't just buy any egg nowadays anymore too. Like, that's another
Hmm.
thing. It's just like I had to buy like organic eggs. Like, I had to get like really
Yeah.
good high quality eggs that fucking costed me like $10 a carton.
Shit. Yeah,
Like, in
unless you got your
order.
own chicken outside.
Exactly. Yo, goals. Goals.
Goals. Lila is gonna
That's
have two
goals.
chickens at her house.
I want
Yes.
to have a chicken. Like, so I had like two chickens. I need to get like my own land and just have. My mom is just like
Yes.
slowly starting to realize, she's like, wait, Lila's becoming like hippie. Like, why is she like living out like in the middle of nowhere? Like slowly starting like, and yeah, I was
Yeah.
always free spirited and always like, like nudist
Yeah.
lifestyle and all this shit. But
Yeah.
like now that I'm just like slowly getting older and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, like maybe it's not that bad to have your own land and have your own
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't
hens
have
and
to be huge. Yeah, and Lila can get her own eggs in the morning,
and I can have a
organic.
pig.
And okay, I don't know. Are you gonna butcher the pig?
No,
I don't
that's
have I don't have the balls to butcher a pig,
that
Lila.
no, that I can't. No, I have it as a pet because I've always wanted a
Oh,
pig as
it's
a
a
pet.
pet. Okay. I know they're so cute sometimes. Oh my God.
But yeah, but the eggs, yeah, it's I recently added eggs back, like literally just like the beginning of this week, I think, and I haven't noticed any flare ups as of recently, so it's been pretty good.
Hmm.
But I had to get again the highest quality eggs, like that costed me like a shit
Yeah.
ton of money. Like it was like $10 for like a fucking thing of eggs, and I'm already done. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like,
I know
okay,
it's so ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
it's one of those things. But yeah, like but in that subject is that when I find that nowadays people reach 25 and shit changes in the body. Like it's just like
Oh yeah.
nowadays we're not able to absorb the same things that we're able to absorb like when we are teenagers, but also
Hmm.
when you're like past generations and stuff, that was still a little bit more delayed. Nowadays,
Hmm.
people are putting so much more chemicals and so many more things in the foods and hormones and all that stuff. That's also why, if I don't know if you've noticed, but like kids nowadays that are like 13 and shit are
Yeah,
literally
they look like
looking
they're
like
20.
fucking. Yo, I didn't look like that
Yes.
that when I was that age.
I know. No, I noticed this too. It's like kids I'm seeing, yeah, 13, 14 years old, and they look double their age. They got
Yeah,
like full-on beards and stuff, and I'm like, no, it's like it's whatever they're eating, like for sure.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
I don't remember 14-year-olds looking like men. You know what
Yo,
I'm saying?
that's the pedophilia starts to come in with some people too. Like that's the
Oh my
problem.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, because like it's just like it's like and it becomes like I find like the media is just kind of like trying to like slowly kind of make people work more like quicker.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and I'm not even talking about like physically, but I'm saying like literally to be in society earlier, to like physically go out and get a 9 to 5 job, work earlier because oh, you look like you're older now, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
just like it's just literally to create that. Is as crazy and hippie as that sounds,
Yeah, no,
like
no,
I'm
I
like
believe it.
yeah,
Honestly, coming from this, like everything is so wild in the world. Anything is possible at this point.
yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
was finding in regards to like for example um you know the mental health struggles and stuff and like as teenagers and growing up and all that that I think that maybe a small percentage of the problems could have been from how we used to see like those magazines where you could see like Demi Lovato and like Selena
Oh, those teeny
Gomez
bop
and that's a
magazines.
teeny bop like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Miley
yeah.
Cyrus and you
And
would
they
see
came with
that.
posters, and then I
Exactly.
would
Yeah,
put,
yeah,
and
and we
then I
put it
had
on the
all those
wall.
Justin
Yeah.
Bieber.
I had all the
Yes.
Jonas Brothers ones, like that was my like it was like all like,
Oh, mine was the Bieber. You
the
already know.
Beaver. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Not anymore, but yeah, he was all over the walls.
Yeah. But I think those
Yeah.
magazines like for example, cuz like they were kind of like in their late teens at the time and so and
Hmm.
they were so like they looked kind of like adults already
Hmm.
because of like how the media was portraying and I find that like when you slowly start to get into puberty and things like that and then we kind of like start to see like oh we don't look like these girls, like we don't look
Hmm.
like that,
Yeah.
we're changing but we don't look like this and I find that that also had like a struggle on like our generations of
Oh yeah, to look
mental
a
health.
particular way, and yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. I
Mhm.
felt that a lot, especially in, yeah, just before graduating elementary school. Yeah, it's like everyone, there's always this a certain way the girls have to look, and even, yeah, there were some girls in my class, were more developed than I was, and it's
Mhm.
like that was the way to look,
Exactly.
apparently. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, no, it's total bullshit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so now going into these, like, we're in the last bits. Um, how's like the dating life? Like, how is it going from, like your like first love and blah blah blah, and then going into these stages of like getting into long-term relationships so early for you too,
Hmm.
because you have been in one for
Yes.
like a long, long time.
9 years,
Yeah,
yeah.
9 years.
Was it? Let's start from. Well, I mean, in elementary school, we've all had our crushes and
Yeah, or the people you
stuff
hold
like that.
hands with and use call
Eh,
boyfriend.
and have fake weddings in
Yeah,
recess and
it's
yeah, things like that. Of course, we've had those. Um, and then I don't know, my first serious relationship, I guess, was in high school. I think you already know who this was.
yeah,
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 short Filipino, Korean
yeah,
looking. I
yeah.
won't say name.
Say names.
I won't
Yeah.
say, yeah. Um, but he was, I think, my first serious relationship. I think it was like on and off for a year. And then I don't know, it's just like it wasn't serious really. Like it was just him wanting to go places and I don't know, it was just like I didn't feel it and he wasn't really good for me and was toxic and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was been other crushes in between, but nothing really happened. And then I had obviously my big relationship, which was Jason, which I've been with for 9 years. Yeah, I was 16, so it was like maybe 2, 3 months before I turned 17. Uh, I started dating him, and obviously I went to an all-girls high school, so we didn't go to school together. We kind of just uh, I don't know, met at I don't know if you people know Harborfront Center at Toronto. It's like a skating rink by the water. And yeah, we hung out and then it kind of just started off from there. And then Lila knows all the craziness within the first couple of years. She knows the craziness. And yeah, I don't know. It's been pretty good. Long, I mean, there has been times where it's not always easy, and especially growing up with someone, basically, like my, I, yeah, I basically spent most of my youth with this guy. Like, unlike the average high school girl who goes out and hangs out with her friends or goes out to clubs, and I kind of just skipped all that part and I just was with him and we did everything together. And yeah, and now we're older and we're not kids anymore. Yeah, I feel like when you're 16 and you get into relationships, you don't really think of what's ahead. You're just enjoying the moment of now.
Oh,
And
yes. Yeah, I definitely
yeah,
find that. Yeah.
yeah. And then of course as we got older, then we had our conflicts. I was still growing up, he still was growing up, we were doing opposite things and but yeah, I don't know, we just kind of worked through it, like through each other's differences and yeah, I don't know, we just learned to grow up and deal with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you like so do you find that there was like what are like milestones that you would say that you had like struggles wise, like from going like teenager to adult to kind of like now? Like what are like the struggles that you find that were kind of like for that specific age category? Because like I know like for example, I don't know, when you're a teenager, you're kind of like growing and you're growing into two different people and wanting to do two different things and you might have that
Hmm.
struggle of like the biggest struggle was basically him wanting to do this and me wanting to do that and we didn't know if like if it would work out because I wanted to be more focused on the
Yeah.
relationship, if you wanted to be more focused on the career kind of thing like that.
Yeah,
So
luckily for us, it wasn't too much of like when it came to career wise because whatever I did didn't really impact him much,
mm-hmm.
and whatever shenanigans he did didn't really
Good
impact me
back. Yeah.
much.
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just yeah, that the only time that like I really didn't think about like when being in a relationship with him was like thinking of the future. That like at
Mm.
the time it was just we're just enjoying each other's time and seeing each other almost every day and like people at that like between let's say yeah they're 16 17 years old until like 20 21, like we're just enjoying our time together,
Yeah.
right? That's like nothing else is really in mind. Unlike now it's just like, oh my God, need an apartment, I need a car, like work, transit, or what,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's so many things to think about. But when you're in high school, and of course I probably wasn't working most of the time, like there's nothing really to worry about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only difference really.
How about like living together? Like the
Oh,
transition
I,
for that.
yeah, living together. So I didn't live with him until I was maybe 18 or 19. Yeah. Keep in mind, I've been living with him and his family, so we're kind of just sharing a household. Um, but yeah, in the beginning it was not hard, but then of course we've been living together a couple years. Yeah, I'm 26 now, so I can't do the math. It's been quite a few years,
Yeah.
6, 7 years or so living. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, there are things like you guys deal with. There's some things that probably I do that drives him crazy, and things that he does that drive me crazy. And it's like he's got his subwoofer music at like
Ah!
9 in the morning, and I got like my candle making that's stinking up the whole house, or I leave a sock on the floor and he goes crazy, or like I don't know, it's like things like that, there's always stupid conflict. And then even if we get upset with each other, or if he gets upset, like we just give each other like that 30-minute, 1 hour break to just chill out, do our thing. And then we kind of just come back like, okay, like that happened. Like, okay, let's just not, you know,
Ah,
and we
that's
deal with
good.
it and then
That's
we
good.
move on. Yeah, especially with him, it's so easy. All you need is to give him just, and then
Just
he's,
leave and come back. Yeah.
yeah,
I do
yeah,
the same with Andrew. Like sometimes I'm just like, okay, like go smoke a joint, talk to me
yeah.
later. Or go eat.
Yeah.
Talk
Oh,
to
I
me
don't even
later.
have to tell him.
No.
He'll walk out. He
Ah.
knows. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'll just do my thing. I'm like, or like, okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it later. Then yeah,
Yeah. Because another thing I noticed, like living so long with him, it's like when you guys are like whenever you have a fight or you're angry, if you just like add like you're in the heat of the moment, it's just gonna add to that. So it's like
exactly.
just
Yes.
have that breather and then come back to it. It's like especially if it's something minor and it's something that's not serious, there's no need to be like hackling each other, it's just gonna make the situation more frustrating. So it's just like you get that couple minutes and then you come back to it and then
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's
I
what works
find
for me anyways.
100%. But I think for
Yeah.
a lot of people too, like we kind of will regret saying certain things or so like in the moment of like getting that like
Hmm.
the
Oh,
heated
which has
moment. So
definitely
it's just
happened
like
with us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So those are
Yeah.
the stuff that's just like
Yeah. And that's another thing too, like when if let's say we are in the heat of the moment of arguing, whatever we say, we know it's like it's not our intention. It's just what we're saying because we're upset. It's not what because he actually means it, or you know what
mm,
I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of the time that's what it is. But you learn to deal with it.
Yep, that's how it is.
That's life.
Yeah. So we have
Yeah.
like the two last questions and it's from long-term relationship. How has like you now that you're older
Hmm.
reflecting back in the beginning of like the honeymoon stage and stuff, like
Oh.
seeing that difference, do you find like,
Yeah.
for example, because I find a lot of people kind of reminisce on when it was perfect in the relationship and when it was like the honeymoon, and they find
Oh,
that
that's true.
they oftentimes though they confuse, like for example, they confuse like passion with being in love. Because
Hmm.
like in the beginning, like you're so like head over heels for each other that you think you're in
Oh, of
love,
course.
but you're not
Hmm.
really in love until
Yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of like get into that and where you're like you see the person for who they are. You're like, oh, I'm in love, But
Yeah.
like in the beginning, it was just like so much like excitement kind of
Yeah.
thing, and like you reminisce like from like even like
Hmm.
you get older and stuff, and you start to say like, oh my god, you remember when we used to do this and that,
Hmm.
and so how's that been for you, like seeing now like the difference, like
Yeah.
have
Oh,
you ever, do you
definitely.
think about it like
It has definitely come up before. I even brought it up with him too. Like there's been times where we look back and we're like, or I look back and it's like, oh, he used to be so like so much more romantic, or like I don't know, yeah, like you said, everything is a lot more sweeter in the beginning, and like
Yeah.
we do look back on it, and like we think about it, but like yeah, I think that's what it is like in the honeymoon phase also, it's like you're trying so hard to impress this person. Like you'll try to look your best, or you'll try to you know, whatever. And then now it's like when you're with someone for so long, it's like you don't try so hard to look for good for him when you're at home watching television at like eight
Yeah,
in the
you know,
morning.
except if you're
Yeah.
Sasha. Except if you're Sasha. When like she like I got to have her on again on the podcast. Like I had her
Yes.
but there's like there she always like dresses up in like those big gowns and stuff.
Ah,
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
those like the flowy kind of like lingerie
Hmm.
type gowns, and then like has
Hmm.
like a tiny little dress, and then she's like, "I'm going to bed," and me and my mom are like, "Who the fuck wears that shit
Not
to
too
bed?"
bad.
You know, and then she's just like, "I gotta look good," you know, like I like, yo, like I wish I had that effort, but I mean, it's not that I
Yeah.
don't. It's not that I don't. It's not like I'm gonna just like completely let go,
Yeah.
like, but like, it's not like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like we don't really put in that much effort. I mean, like if we go out somewhere nice together, yeah, sure, we'll dress up nice and
Yeah.
yeah. But it's like yeah, those were like when you're in that at that stage, you're doing all these excessive things that like you don't need to. If you really care about that person, you like that person, you don't have to always be at your top best looking, best acting behavior. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like once you're at a certain time of a relationship, it's like you just have to learn to like be comfortable with each other. And yeah, I don't know, just like how you say, like you should have to learn how to love them unconditionally, like after that certain point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like it's not so much like thinking about the way they look, like especially after so long. I've been with him 9 years. So I wouldn't care what he looked like if he gained 20 pounds. I wouldn't care if he lost all his teeth. I wouldn't care. Like I would still like him the same. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know, it's just something that kind of grows on you.
Yeah.
And you just yeah.
Well, I mean, it's really nice to see, you know. I'm like, oh, you know, like look at all these years and things like that.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, don't get
yeah,
me wrong. There are times where like
for
things are a
sure.
little rocky, but it's like that it's inevitable. It's what can you do? And
Exactly.
honestly, everyone has their own issues and problems and like it's how do I say? Like I wouldn't judge a person just because of whatever they're dealing with, especially if I'm with them, like whatever. Um it's like I'm just you just have to cope with it and like help them through whatever if they have their demons or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you like them unconditionally, you just yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need to plug in my laptop. Hold on. Okay, sorry, I had to do a brief pause.
All good.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. All right. And then so for the last bit, do you have any advice for any listeners out there, or like some, you know, anything in regards to yourself or relationships or things you've learned or self-love or whatever it is? Any advice?
Ooh, I feel like there's so many so
No,
many pieces
right?
of
There's so many.
advice you could give because we mentioned so many topics. But I guess relationship wise, since we're on that note,
Mhm.
um, definitely when you start a relationship with someone, think about your future. Keep your future in mind,
Mhm.
and also be aware to bring it up with whoever you're going to be with, especially if you're like at my age already and you're
Mhm.
not in high school. But if you are in high school and they're listening, definitely think about the future first. Don't just
Mhm.
jump into a relationship and say, I want to be with this person forever just because, you know, they're cute and they're nice and, you know, just definitely keep your future in mind. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great advice. The funny
Yeah.
thing with that, like, it's like there was this lady that said like always try to see what the person has that isn't just kind of like, oh, they treat me good and they are nice and they're good looking.
Hmm.
Like those are things that we can all have. Those are all
Yeah.
things that, okay, what else? Like what is it with their character that you kind of, and I think that's the whole thing too, is just like, of, if you really do want to be with this person and you're kind of like
Hmm.
looking, it's even if it's like short term, long term, or whatever, it's good to kind of have those goals. I find, like, even when you're a teenager, like even if you're just like, oh, I just want to have fun and kind of see where it's at, like express that to your partner, right? So.
Yeah. Of course, you guys have to have a balance and meet eye to eye, and it's like, yeah.
Mhm. Well,
Yes.
that was a great podcast, and thank you so much, Christine. It's always nice talking, and so
Of
that is it's
course.
good having you on. Also,
Yeah.
if you guys want to find Christine online, she's gonna mention her socials in a bit, but I highly recommend you guys get some of her, art stuff. Like her candles smell so fucking good. Her embroidery. Like I always order shit from her. I'm always like, Christine, like
It's
I need
true.
this. I need this. Christine. Which I will definitely ask for something else soon because I have another
Yes.
thing. But
Of course.
yeah, you guys definitely had to, like, she has such amazing art out there, and since we talked so much about art in general, and small businesses and things like that, and supporting small businesses, and since you guys all love to do that in this day and age, you guys definitely have to go
Hmm.
check her out. So Christine, where can the people find you on your regular Instagram, on your arts and stuff like that? Like, just.
Yes, I have so many platforms. But for my own personal account with just me and a little bit of everything, you can find me on Instagram. It's just Christine with a Christine, Rego 1, which is Christine Rego 1. That's my Instagram. And then, of course, you can find my candles or lilac cat fragrances. So anywhere you search that, Facebook, Instagram, you'll find it. My embroidery is Crispy Crafts. So if you look even on my regular Instagram, you'll find all that beautiful stuff and photography too. Christine
Yes.
Rego Photography. Yes, I know there's so many things. It just goes on.
That's
And then
amazing.
another one, I'm kidding.
And then you're like, oh, go on. So
Go
many.
on. Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
me. I have so many Instagram accounts that I just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for a little bit of everything, just yeah, look up my name, Christine Rego 1.
And then you'll
It's
find
all there.
everything there. You'll find all.
Yes. Yes.
All good. Okay. Thank you so much, Christine. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.